Hello everyone, we're back to T3p Rebirth. And before we get in, I actually want to show a few images I have of Rebirth. Here we see it 2 days before its release, and here we see some of its promotional I did. This is some of my later work, or my older work. So here's when Rebirth started into development, and here we see the progress. Spoiler, I guess. Trust me. You guys probably won't. So yeah, no look, here's as you can see the background changed. Well, that's enough of that. Let's continue. We're back onto Rebirth. And here we see how Dario's Awakening was actually used to be Death Awakening, but I kind of writ out Death because I felt like he was an unneeded character. In it was because I wrote him in when I was a younger kid, so I bought more of him, and then I officially removed him. Don't stay like that for a while. And here we see our introduction to Jake. And here we see what we collect the most in this game, which is energy. Yes, it is quite interesting. So we're gonna go on Jigs like this. I usually go on rocks, but here we see one of the major differences. Oh, here we see a new feature. Now, you can either collect it by proximity, or you can use an electric attack to trigger it. By the way, the enemies here are actually quite different, which I think I might change them. Actually, well, I will change them, but I'm not really planning to make any more updates to this game, so they're just gonna stay like that. They're quite different in the fact that they're really outdated compared to the rest. I need to get closer to honestly a very straightforward level at the end of the day. It was the 3rd level ever made actually, which makes sense since it is the 2nd level. Alright, now we got this section. So from now on in the game, whenever you see a blue one, or a blue orb, it has to be an electric orb. And a white orb is a neutral orb, meaning that you don't need a fire move or an electric move to collect it, you can just go up to it. The ship is actually a remnant of the original timeline, or my original levels, as it is legitimately just that, which we'll see more of once I actually replay the original levels. I think I should move this up, but Jake is actually a bit slower than Brock. Brock has a walk speed of 100% compared to Jake who has a walk speed of 10%. So there is about a 10. Honestly, there's not really too much interesting to say about this level, considering that it was pretty straightforward. I already knew what it needed to be. Yeah, I went a bit overboard in terms of the collectibles, which was complete oversight, but in the end it's not too much of a big deal. So, I actually designed the character wheel after the game came out, and so we got these. So I consider this to be the traditional way to play it, but for time's sake, I'm just gonna continue to use the character wheel. And this is when my entire channel gets copyright claimed. Damn. Here's an interesting thing you can do. So back then, you actually had to unlock every character, every bonus character. It was a bit tricky to do, and to like implement that feature was pretty tricky to do, as like it was. Oh jeez, I really don't know how I'll go about it. So in the end, I just decided to scrap the feature of unlocking every bonus character. As you can tell, the bonus characters were very much worth collecting beforehand, as these characters are quite overpowered for the most part. Not all of them, but especially Megan. However, she doesn't have a terrible combat hit, so I think she takes around 8 hits and then she dies, which is the lowest, and she takes the most amount of knockback. And yes, I know it is incredibly inaccurate for Megami to use explosions while also being able to move. But hey, how interesting would a character be if she just gets knocked down or something? Unless you're Jigglypuff, then you're using it. Alright, well, we can go to the portal, or we can just jump over it. Oh man. The music for this level, or for this part of the level, changed significantly. So it actually used to be a Dead Mouse song. And I did it, and I only added the Dead Mouse song due to the fact that the original level this is based on always had a Dead Mouse song. And I wanted to stay true to it. However, I'll be honest, no offense to Dead Mouse, but I generally do not like dubstep anymore. I know that when I was like 13, 10 even, I was obsessed with like dubstep, as everyone was back in the day. But that's no longer the case. As a matter of fact, I should probably go over this day. So one written rule I have, or not written, but one rule I have for this game is character neutrality. And so this level actually used to go against what I deem character neutrality. And that is that a character, no specific character should be used or like be required to the level. And back then, in order to collect the blue and orange orbs, you had to be Brock or Jake. But this meant like a lot of characters were invalid for this stage. Well, I mean, not this word. And it just didn't sit right with me to have like every character be invalid. And the thing about character neutrality is that it was actually added after the game was released. I think 2 months in or 1 month in, I decided to change it to that every character can be on every stage. Because back then, you actually couldn't play Mega Man on certain levels or other characters on certain levels. Until I changed it to where you can. Yeah, it just surprised me the fact that certain characters were just unavailable. Mega Man was not available for like many stages because of the fact that she caused a lot of technical issues with her old moveset. They relied heavily on the explosion effect, which would cause the game to crash. But Mega Man has kind of been stripped away a lot of explosion effects. For this we're gonna switch as. You know what? I'll fight that as the. I'll face myself intensified. Oops, well. Piece of cake. Here's your introduction to these kinds of boss fights. Or the platform, what is like cat. Now I'm just gonna stick to Rocky. Alright, then well, that was Houndour's Awakening.